So, I sorted through the last of my Nemesis. A couple cards I want to talk on. Jolting Merfolk. 2 colorless, 2 blue, 2/2, fading 4. Move a fade counter from it to tap target creature. It's actually really good, especially in draft, where it basically was 2 colors and 2 blue, tap 4 creatures. It would win games. It would create huge openings in your opponent's defense, and you could just walk all over them. A fellow who used to draft way back in the day at the FLGS, a fellow by the name of Eric, used to sit there and go, it's like, and he'd wonder why people would pass Jolting Merfolks to him. And he's like, dude, why are you people passing these to me? Jolting Merfolks win game. And he was a good player, he was a good guy and all, but he had an anger control issue, if anyone ever did. I mean, a big anger control issue. If his deck just sat there and screwed him over, he didn't take it well. He was known at times for just flinging his deck across the room, and it wasn't particularly cool. So yeah, good player, not a bad guy, big anger control issue. And this one here I came across, it's Submerge, 4 colors and a blue, instant, put target creature on top of its owner's library. That seems a little bit pricey for 4 colors and a blue, until you look at, if an opponent controls a forest and you control an island, you may play Submerge without paying its mana cost. Now I see that, and you know what? I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm like, wow, that would probably work really well in EDH. Or Commander, as they're trying to call it now, because Wizards tries to stay away from calling the format Highlander because they don't want to get sued. I can't say I blame them. Jeez. Which is why, for example, in Magic the Gathering Online, when you have a Highlander deck, the format is called Singleton. But anyway, yeah, I mean, there's a card that you can cast for free if an opponent controls a forest. And it's like, dude, EDH is normally played with at least 3, maybe 4 players. Odds are one of them's got a forest out. It's like someone tries to go on the offense, yeah, put that back in your hand. Put that back on the top of your deck. And it's just like, yeah. And that's just horrible stuff. Thankfully, the only artifact here I want to talk about on top of the stack, I sorted through those last night too. The blue I sorted through today. The artifacts I sorted through last night. I also sorted through the prophecy artifacts and the white cards in prophecy, but I'll talk about that on another day. The parallax inhibitors, 2 colorless, 1 colorless, and tap it and sacrifice it. Put a fade counter on each farm you control with fading. Basically, it was meant to prolong how you're fading creatures and artifacts and enchantments to a lesser degree. These days, it's really just obsoleted. It is, because it's a one-shot deal, because you have to sacrifice it. It's strictly, in my opinion, it is strictly inferior to things like Contagion Clasp. Now granted, Contagion Class is like, I want to say it's 4 colorless to tap to proliferate, but it doesn't require you to sacrifice the artifact in question, so that's pretty good. That, and of course, proliferate is also more flexible. In addition to adding more fade counters, proliferate can add poison counters to your opponent, populate extra neg1 counters on your opponent's creatures, or your own if you have a creature that does funk. And of course, planeswalkers. Oh yeah. Another couple cards I want to talk about here. We got Accumulated Knowledge. It's a fun little card. It was It's a colorless and a blue. For an instant, you draw a card, and in a blah. I'm gonna try that again. Okay, it basically is you draw X+1 cards, where X is the number of copies of accumulated knowledge in all graveyards in the game. So, for example, in a blue versus blue matchup where both players are playing accumulated knowledge, you can get a lot of cards out of that. Fun card, decent card. Would never play in EDH because, hey, funny thing about that, if it will only have one copy, there's no point to it. Days. That's definitely going in the trade binder. I've got a bunch of them too. Colorless and a blue, instant, counter target spell unless its controller pays a colorless. You may return an island you control to owner's hand instead of paying its mana cost. The reason why it's considered good and playable is because of that alternate cost. If you're tapped out and your opponent decides, well, he's tapped out, he's not going to counter anything, and they tap out for something, you just hammered them. You just got them good. Now, a couple cards I want to mention because, first of all, because they're not bad, and second of all, there's something funky going on in the art, and third goes into a story I want to talk about today. We've got the Stronghold Machinist and the Stronghold Biologist. Now, as you can probably tell, even with this crappy resolution on this camera, you know, sometimes it's, I don't know, I think it's based, I'm not sure what's going on with it. Sometimes you can read the text, sometimes you can't, I don't know. But, as you can see, even from this resolution, the art is actually one picture broken into two cards. They're both two colors and a blue for a 1/1 spell shaper. They're both double blue and tap and discard a card from your hand. The Machinist counters non-creature spells. Biologist counters creature spells. And they're interesting stuff. And, so here's the side note on those cards I want to talk about and get into the story. Is one day, many years ago, I want to say it was back in, must have been late 2000, early 2001. I don't think it was as late as 2002, but it might have been. I'm not certain. I'm not certain. But so anyways, I was living with my mom at the time because, quite bluntly put, it was cheaper than trying to live on my own. I mean, I was giving my mom a little under half my paycheck for room and board, and that came to about $400 a month. And that was a hell of a lot cheaper than finding my own apartment, renting it, blah 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 blah. I mean, you know, when I did eventually move out on my own, my first apartment was the rent was $575 a month for a studio apartment. That is, I had one real room, a kitchenette, and a bathroom. That's it. These days, I'm paying $750 a month for a kitchen, 2 rooms, and a bathroom. Yeah. But anyways, for those of you who think these prices sound ridiculously high, hey, East Coast, urban area, space is at a premium. But anyways, my mom was working at a halfway house for like troubled teens and such, and she had one kid that she told me about. She said, asked me if she could put together a magic deck for him, because he's told her that he used to play Magic, but he didn't anymore because someone stole his cards. And she felt bad for him, and she's like, hey, you know, I have a son who plays. Maybe he can put a deck together for you. And she talks to me about it, and I made the kid a blue-black graveyard recursion deck. It was a control deck, graveyard recursion deck. I put a lot of extra cards in there that I didn't really need. I mean, he got Stronghold Biologist and Machinist. He got counter spells. He got this is probably going to sound crappy to some people. I gave him a couple of like big blue creatures, like deep spawns. The reason why the deep spawn was in there is because it had that upkeep effect of milling yourself for 2. I believe it was 2. Anyway, the reason why, of course, is because I did that is because there were also like animate deads and stuff like that in there as well. So the idea being is, you know, his deck would. The idea being is the deck was designed to just keep the opponent locked down with like counters and stuff like that. And eventually, you would say, like, for example, use one of your spell shapers to pitch a deep spawn. Then you'd animate the deep spawn, and then you start swinging at him with a 6/6. And I don't know if the deck ever worked out well for him. I never really did any play testing with it. I just put it together based almost completely on theory. But my mom says he was happy with it when he got it. He was surprised because some of the cards in it were like slightly older. And so yeah, I mean, it was cool. And so yes, I made a deck for a kid never met in my entire life. I'd never met him up to that point. I've never met him to this day. And I don't think he's watching the video. I really don't. I mean, there's so few people that watch these videos, it's not even funny. So, well, I don't know. I don't know how many unique views each of the videos gets. I know the first video in the series has got over 600 views, which I was kind of surprised because I remember like one day seeing it like 300 odd views, and I'm like, eh. Then like a couple days later, I look at it and it's got over 600, which is where it's sitting right now, somewhere between 600 and 700 views. And I'm like, wow, okay. But and I've only got like, what, 5 or 6, maybe 7 subscribers? I don't know. But, yeah. So on the off chance that kid's watching, or someone that knows the kid's watching, tell him I said no problem. As you can see, I've got plenty to spare. Oh, jeez. Yeah. So there it is, well, the Nemesis. I'm just going to get the prophecy filed away. Oh, jeez. I already sorted through the white and the artifact, so... I don't really think there's much to talk about with the white prophecy. I mean, other than, of course, it had a really good legendary spell shaper. Each color got a legendary spell shaper. Black got the worst of them with Greel Mindraker. It was like, I want to say it was like X black black, and tap and pitch 2 cards to make your opponent discard X cards at random, and it's just like, really? That's a... He just wasn't that good. The blue one, I believe, was Alexi Zephyr Mage. I can't remember if she tapped creatures or bounced them. Either one would be really good as just as a finisher. It's like, yeah, all that crap's out of my way. Swing with the team. Good game. So that wouldn't be bad. Latula, Keldon, the Overlord, or what the heck she was called. She was okay, at least in draft. She was just a straight direct damage effect. X and red or X and double red, I can't remember. In my opinion, technically inferior to Jaya Ballard, Taskmate, who would not come out for many, many years. But oh well. Jarell, Empress of Beasts, turned all of target players' lands into 3/3 creatures. There were a couple of ways that you could abuse that, either using that ability upon your opponent and then having some way to, and then playing a creature sweeper, or using it yourself and just like pounding the crap out of your opponent. But unfortunately, on that last one, it cost like 3 or 4 mana to activate the ability. I want to say 3, which means there's a very good and real chance that you've tapped what would turn into 9 power worth of creatures. So yeah. We got a couple of cards with glittering in the title, glittering lynx, glittering lion in white. They didn't take damage unless someone paid like a couple of mana to turn that ability off. Anyone can pay that ability. White's legendary spell shaper was Magenta the Lion. He Wrath of God at everything but himself. That was pretty huge. Put this camera down for a second. Quickly breeze through these cards. Is there anything here that is truly exceptional? Nah, not really. And each card had a wind spell. It was usually around 9 mana, I want to say, for most of them. And they did something wacky. The white one was Blessed Wind. It's 7 colors, double white. Sorcery, target player's life total becomes 20. The black one destroyed all of your opponent's creatures. The red one just did a crap ton of damage, if I recall correctly. I can't remember what the blue or green ones did. I really can't. What else we had here? We have cards like Magenta's Boon, colors in a white for a creature enchantment. You could play anytime. You could play an instant, and it's basically a holy strength that you can with flash. Bam! How's about that? It's a holy strength with flash, folks. So I'll put the white away in here. I think I'll have enough room for all the others once I get rid of like duplicate commons and stuff. Hopefully. If not, it means I'm just gonna have to hunt up another card box. Oh, jeez. So, anyways, crossing the fingers. Tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. So hopefully, between whatever sorting I do for the rain, maybe like late tonight and early tomorrow, hopefully I'll get through the last of Prophecy. Then on Saturday, I'll go over my draft acquisitions from Friday night, and I'm thinking Sunday I'll bust into the Commander decks and give them a review. I was thinking about not making that part of the organization series, but I've had a request to put them into the series, and since I've counted like 2 days of talk about stuff like BattleTech in there, I figured, you know what, I might as well. I believe it was Cathaldus was the name of the fellow one, but I can't remember. I'm not looking it up now, sorry. But yeah. So, you know, there's the schedule for the next few days, and probably sometime Sunday or Monday I'm going to look over my stuff and try to figure out what still needs to be sorted. I want to save the core sets for last, I really do. Because there's a lot there. I mean, heavens forbid, I sorted through Invasion once already, and I found a lot more after I went through that, you know, because I sorted through Invasion early to make room for other stuff, blah, 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 you know how it is. So, yeah. Monday I'll find out exactly where I stand. Maybe a little sooner if I'm feeling ambitious. Alright, catch you guys later. Be good.